Hey, been a while since my last book review, but I have finally finished reading India, A History by John Keay. The reason it took me a while to finish, this is why. It's, uh, it's 605 pages, plus there's like the source notes, bibliography, that sort of thing, but obviously those don't count towards what I read. Anyway, yeah, this is this is the history of India up until modern day. I believe 2010. Yeah, this was re-released in 2010, so it covers basically up until then. So the past 15 years are not included, but uh, it is a comprehensive read. India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. So it's like India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, because Pakistan and Bangladesh were basically part of historical India, historically a part of India until mid 20th century. So it does include. So when it gets to like the 20th century and like it does cover those Pakistan and Bangladesh as well after they split off. Um, Talks about their history and at that point and their relations with the relations between the three countries. But yeah, it does cover right from as far back as we have a history for the region. Which is a lot. One thing that I found interesting reading this, India is not like Europe or China or Egypt. A lot of those countries, ancient Greece, we know a lot about ancient Greece. We know a lot about ancient Egypt. We know a lot about ancient China. Um, India less so. The there isn't really much of a written record, and even just archaeologically, there's a lot that's still unknown. Um, so, like the early history of India, there's a lot that we just do not really know, at least not for sure. Um, Really, prior to the Muslim conquests, the Islamic conquests, there's a lot that's just still just kind of um, there's still a lot of blank spaces. Regardless, though, it was interesting. He did do a very good job discussing what is believed to be known, and like taking like different perspectives, taking different sort of theories about it, different opinions on various aspects of Indian history, and then sort of usually giving what he thinks is sort of most likely to be true. Um, yeah, I mean, it just another thing I found interesting about India is it was not. It's never really been a country that does conquest in the sense that like that a lot of people think of it. Like one kingdom would defeat another, and then the defeated kingdom would basically just keep on going on the way it was. The victor would return back, would go back home, and the guy that defeated would still be king of his kingdom and would just okay, we're not loyal to you anymore. It's just sort of like is it's an interesting facet about it. We are kind of used to like countries being conquered and sort of staying conquered for a generation or two. But no, in India, it doesn't even historically, traditionally, it just they didn't really care. It was more among the Indians themselves, at least. It was less about conquest and more about just raiding rival kingdoms to steal all their stuff, and then they'd leave the conquered king in charge, and there wasn't really the tributes that that were fairly traditional in other countries that did conquests. Even with the Islamic conquests of India, a lot of times, if there wasn't anyone there to actually directly oversee, then same thing. The conquered Indian provinces would just immediately return to business as usual. The king would be like, "Oh yeah, I will definitely convert to Islam. Yes, I am absolutely a faithful Muslim now." Then as soon as the guy turns back, okay, yeah, I don't give a shit about Islam. So it is interesting in that sense. There's a lot of stuff that is pretty interesting about it. And then, like I said, it does go up to modern day. So modern history has never really been something that I am overly interested in, but still, it was interesting reading about you know India under the British and their campaigns for independence, the ways in which World War II in particular really helped to push it along. Um, partition. I knew a little bit about partition, not a whole lot, and yeah, that one was bad. Um, so yeah, there's just it's a lot of very interesting stuff. Um, I enjoyed it. I mean, I just enjoy history in general. So, and India was definitely a place that I didn't really know much about the history. But yeah, it's 5,000 years of history covered in 600 pages. So it does have to sort of gloss over some stuff here and there, but it actually does. It actually is still pretty pretty comprehensive, or at least it feels that way. Um, One of the things I do wish it was able to spend more time talking about, like the people of India, like their daily lives throughout various eras. Unfortunately, history is not really about that. It does try. He does try when as much as possible to to touch on that sort of thing, um, especially in the more in the more contemporary history of the 20th century and all that. Um, 19th and 20th centuries does spend a little bit more time talking about the people. Um, Especially when he talks about partition. He makes a very strong point about the human toll of partition, because it was that was a lot of people suffering. So he does make a point to emphasize that and emphasize how they suffered. Um, and various other massacres that here occurred here and there, and labor uprisings and that sort of thing. He does touch on a lot of those things. So he's as thorough as 600 pages allows him to be, and but he does still keep it interesting. He does still make sure that that it is an interesting read. So yeah, so I have now read all my physical books. Uh, Going forward, I'm going to be reading some digital books. Because I backed a lot of books. I used to back a lot of books and comics and stuff on Kickstarter. So I do need to make my way through a bunch of those. So yeah, so I'm gonna be taking a break from physical books for a while to read digitally instead, on my phone or on my computer. So that'll be fun. Anyway, John Key has actually written other books about India as well. Into India, India Discovered, also China, a history. So he does write about other South Asian countries or other Asian countries as well. But he is an expert in particular on South Asia. So, and on a side note, he does talk a little bit about India's historical relationships with China, because there's been there was some trade historically, and then 20th century and Indian independence. they've occasionally had tensions. Anyway, India: A History by John Keay. So, if you enjoy history, if you like reading history, then this one is worth reading. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.